Hey, this is Ted Washington, former All-Pro, drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. You're listening to Matt and Dexter on The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future in sports medicine. Check it out at thegruelingtruth.net. I'm your host, Matt Andruscavage. I'd like to welcome in my co-host, former 49er running back, Super Bowl 29 champion, Dexter Carter.
Hey, Matt, good to be back with you, my man. We took a couple of weeks hiatus, so I'm excited to be back with you, especially after an exciting week.
Oh, definitely. You know, that's we had quite the time out in California, and then we had a couple of weeks there. We just got super busy, didn't we?
We sure did, man. But hey, great time to come back and discuss, the week that we had out in San Francisco and talk about this most recent game.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We had it was a lot of fun watching that beat down of the Oakland Raiders last week, and got to watch Nick Mullens and the rest of the team, and got to feel good for a change. It's been a while.
Absolutely. It was nice to see a win, and how the win happened was very, very exciting, and gives us a great topic of conversation tonight once we get on the quarterback and talk about what we thought about him and what the fans think about him. And I tell you what, his performance was beyond probably his belief, because I'm sure it was all of us, because I had no idea who he was. But I tell you what, he came onto the scene at the right time and really, really did an excellent job and made us very proud of him.
Yeah, it was nice to see him jump right in. Yeah, he looked like he had a lot of confidence from the get-go, and starting off like 9 for 10, and hitting Pierre Garçon for an opening touchdown, and defense getting a stop, and just seeing him being able to put the ball all over the field. I think he completed passes to at least 8 or 9 different receivers. Got to see Matt Breida continue to play well. And just overall, the offense, that was fun to watch.
Absolutely. Receivers, got open like they do with Garoppolo. And it's interesting we say get open. But what's interesting is they don't all of a sudden run different routes with different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
What happens is it's a timing issue. And quarterbacks have to find a way to throw them open. That means throw the ball. It's not guessing; it's anticipating, and it's pre-snap reading the defense, and based on your work during the week, you pretty much know who's going to be open based on coverage that they used against certain formations. And what's interesting is in life, no matter what profession it is, usually things don't happen by accident. Success doesn't just pop out of the blue. What usually happens is pretty much what happened with Mullens, right? Is you start hearing stories about him. I didn't even know he was on the team, and we were out there for the Rams game. I had no idea. I guess he wasn't activated for that game. But what's interesting is it doesn't matter if you're not activated, you're on the practice squad, or whether you're a starter or a backup. What's interesting is stories begin to come out. And when you hear these stories about him, you start to realize why the young man is successful. Per man, they said that this kid or this young man is usually more prepared based on the understanding of the offense as Kyle Shanahan is. And you start to wonder, well, what do they mean? Well, what they mean is this kid didn't worry about whether he wasn't a starter or not. He didn't worry about whether he was activated or not. He prepared as if he was a starter. So what he did based on stories is, one, once the game plan was created by Kyle and his staff, and as all quarterbacks and all players get the preparation coming up to a game, this young man, although he was not getting any starting reps, backup reps, the only thing he could get was mental reps. But he would take the script, which is created for every practice. You know what you're going to do. You go over certain situations, down in distance, red zone, goal line, all of these, 3rd and 15, 2nd and 3rd and short. You go over all these situations. This young man, based on stories, would take the script after practice and go on the field, game field, I think they said, but it doesn't matter if it's game field or practice field. And he literally himself would go over every handoff, visualizing the defense, the coverages, and the defense that was put on the script based on film study from the coaches. He would go over the pass routes. He would go over actual bootlegs, and set up and mentally throw the ball to where it's supposed to be. So when he got the chance to play, now that I know that story, it is not a surprise that this young man succeeded because he was prepared long before he got the opportunity. And that just is an example in life how we all should do, whether it's in our jobs and it's our, in our professions, no matter what it is. That's what we need to do, because when you see the success happen, abruptly, in his mind, it had already happened. And it takes me back, if I could share this with you. Yeah. And it's only one play. But in the NFL back when I played, we would always script the first 15 plays of a game. Yeah, it may adjust a little bit, but you script the first 15 plays, so the night before, you know what plays you're going to run. You go over in your mind what your responsibilities are. And I remember Bobby Bowden in 1989, we played at the University of Miami, and the night before the game at the hotel, he told us what the first play was going to be, and he said, I want every one of you to visualize in your mind what your responsibilities are. And I'm sure I did that, all the time, but consciously, the first play of the game, I had never really thought about it, but I did that time, and it happened exactly the way I imagined in my head. It was a 40, 45-yard touchdown run, and it happened exactly. So when I think about what Mullens did, to be able to pull that off, this young man, I'm proud of the way he prepared, and he was ready for his moment in the light.
Oh, you really said it there. I mean, this is not just a lesson in football, but this is a lesson in life. There's no way. I had a couple of things I was going to say about this. You said it way better. The guy is pretty much a football savant. They say he's the only one who knows the offense better is Kyle himself. He's so sharp on what he knows and on how well he knows that playbook. And but yeah, you described it so well, and it really is a lesson in life. It's what sometimes they say: dress for the job, not the one that you have, but the one that you want. Kind of even more than just dress for it, but behave like it, like you're going to get the job that you want. It's kind of reminds me of Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh said, "Champions behave like champions before that they're champions." And that's what you got to do. You got to prepare like your day is coming, and you could see how well prepared Mullens really is.
Absolutely, and none of us can predict what his future holds. We do. I can tell you with some sort of certainty that the young man isn't going to stop his preparation. Now, we do know defensive coordinators are going to study him, and they're going to try to pick apart his game, and that's just how it is. We saw it in Garoppolo a little bit, and we can't say that he's going to all of a sudden overtake Garoppolo and all of that, because our excitement is still there for Garoppolo leading this team. But I think we can be excited, about the quarterback position in general, because I think Beathard was playing well, and I think, we got 3 quarterbacks, that's going to be on this roster that we can be, sure that, if called upon, that they can step in, because you want the backups to step in and lead this team as if the starter is there. And you want the backups to prepare at all times as if they are the starter. So I think moving forward, for next year, not throwing away the rest of this year, but I think we can feel pretty good about the quarterback position pushing each other. Garoppolo's going to be pushed by 2 guys behind him that, the 49ers can be happy that they've got in case something happens to Garoppolo, moving forward into the future.
Yeah, that's really the truth because, I think when you look at this game, while it was great to see a 34-3 win, it was great to see Mullens play as well as he did. He really had a night. But at the same time, I think as you take a step back and look at the rest of the schedule, you realize it was the Raiders. You got the Giants coming up. You want to see them perform well there. But it'll be really interesting to see how he does when they have to travel to Seattle, a potential wild card contender, when they have to play against Denver, when they have to play against Chicago. That's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Now, is he going to pull off a 151 rating in all these games? Probably not. But like you said, I think he can be effective. And going forward into next season, all of a sudden, you've got, CJ's capable at times. I think there's other times where it's been kind of frustrating. It's one of the things we can get into with Mullens is he's got a quick release, and he knows where he wants to go, and he scans the field pretty fast. Looks a lot like Jimmy at times. And that's something we really haven't seen in a few weeks. So, he's going to be definitely pushing CJ. But I think that you're right. There's going to be the quarterback position is a real strength going into next year.
Right. And, you look at the other, you're going to have the running back position coming back stronger. You got the receivers developing. We already thought we had some good guys there, and they're continuing to develop. And, when quarterbacks get the ball out of their hand and put it where it's supposed to be, these receivers catch the ball. And I'm going to tell you what I'm getting more excited about. I'm getting excited about that defensive front, man, because I'm sure we'll hit on it later. But Blair continues to impress me on that side of the ball. And he was one of the ones that we never mentioned, or at least not as one of the top guys on that defensive front. So to me, that bodes well moving forward into the future as far as the strength, and development of that defensive line.
Yeah, the defensive line really looked good, pulling off 6+ sacks against the Raiders. Seeing a 2.5 come out of Cassius Marsh. I think anybody that's been watching, if you've been paying attention, Ronald Blair's name has been called a lot over the last 5 weeks. And even though the team hasn't been putting a lot of W's on the board, Blair has been a really nice surprise. I don't think a lot of people expected him to be emerging this year. But if he really truly emerges, that is going to be great going forward. And what's nice is I think what's helping his emergence is not just an increase in snaps, but with Solomon Thomas being moved to the inside where he looks like that's more of a natural position for him, this really is good going forward because we're seeing production. They're moving guys around. We're seeing production out of Eric Armstead. I believe he's got 3 or 4 sacks now, which is great because he looks healthy, and he's getting pressure more and more. It's just, I think everyone kind of wrote him off because he had another slow start, but he's been really coming on. Blair's emerging. Cassius Marsh is still a pretty solid option off the bench. Sheldon Day looks pretty good. We already know DeForest Buckner's really good. And now Solomon Thomas is starting to play better inside. So this is a really good front. Maybe they are just one player away from putting that thing over the top, or who knows? One of these guys like Blair or Armstead could really emerge as to being what they're hoping, and all of a sudden this whole unit looks good.
Absolutely, and the better that defensive front unit looks or is, the better that secondary is going to look. Yes, we've got Sherman, who, in my opinion, still has it, and you've got, and I think the defensive backfield has been playing better than last year up to this point, and I think they're only going to get better. And if we always felt good and positive about the linebacker position with Foster, but the rookie is playing well there. So if that defensive front continues to get better, that second and third level is going to continue to look better and better for the 49ers.
Yeah, I think Fred Warner's had a pretty nice rookie season. Obviously, Richard Sherman. I don't think anybody has given up less catches per snap count than Richard Sherman. I mean, granted, they're not really throwing at him, but there's a reason they're not throwing at him. He's not getting burned. If they would be throwing at him if he was getting burned, he is locking down one half of the field, and they have to. These quarterbacks are looking elsewhere. So it's like if they can just see a little bit more out of like Witherspoon, and I think we all realize that Reuben Foster is having a down year. I mean, he's got a bum shoulder right now. He's having trouble with it. I'm glad they sat him down because there's times where he's making one-arm tackles because he's in so much pain. And so they really got to get him healthy. I hope that we can have even if they have to shut him down the rest of the year, I hope that doesn't happen because I want to see him get as many reps as possible. But I want to see him out there healthy, and then an off season where he can just kind of forget about last year, have a quiet off season, get healthy, continue to get better, and all of a sudden, if he becomes the guy that we saw last year with Warner to go with that defensive front, this defense is starting to come together.
Yeah, and Foster having a quiet off season is going to be very, very key because in the NFL, distractions will destroy your progress. So that's going to be key to the 49ers, when the offseason comes. I know we're prematurely talking about it, but we're talking about key positions. And at that position, with Foster being really even maybe more so than Sherman, being the leader of that defense, if he gets it straight, he can be a real, real big-time vocal leader. You keep having problems. You're going to find surely veterans aren't going to listen to you. And younger guys are going to be less apt to follow you, but they're not going to give up on him yet. I don't think anybody's going to give up on him, but a quiet off season, get healed up is going to be very, very key to the overall success of his impact on this defense.
Yeah, that's for sure. And another thing in the news this week, the Raiders cut defensive end, strong side linebacker Bruce Irvin. And he's obviously a very natural fit for this defense because Sam linebacker is still a position of need. Another he would be a good edge rusher. He's perfect for this defense. It's the same scheme when he was in Seattle. Well, I do think they went after him, but he settled for the Atlanta Falcons where he's from. So people should not feel like the management did not try hard enough. Because, nobody was going to claim him off of waivers. He would have had to eat a pretty big salary. You don't just waste that. So everyone was smart to not sign him, make a waiver claim. Then it just came down to where he wanted to play. And I do think they made a strong push for him, but, it's hard to compete with the hometown. When that's where he wants to go, and, that's where he's going to go. So, but that tells me that the management is seeing the need for pass rusher. They obviously know they need it. It's a very, very strong position in the draft next year. So I really am not worried about the defensive line. I think it's getting better this year. And if they can add some kind of stud edge rusher next year, all of a sudden we're looking at a pretty good defense. If Foster emerges as well, and then obviously the young guys in the secondary need to continue to get better. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with the unit. I'm hoping to see some good things over the course of the rest of the season. But there's got to be a lot of nice young players there, and we're starting to see some of these guys look even better.
Yeah, and we've complimented these executives, the top guys, making decisions based on talent with the 49ers, and having the chance to not meet because I knew Cal when he was 10, but having the chance to talk to him and talk to Lynch. Mayhew came back the game of the day of the game from Detroit. He was at the Michigan State game. His son goes there.
Okay.
I think he graduate assistant or something. But nonetheless, talking with him, and you talking about trying to get more edge rushers in the draft and all of that, I have total confidence, prior to and after speaking with Lynch, when I was out there, that they are going to identify the right guys and bring those guys in if they have an opportunity to draft them. Just like going after the edge rusher for the Raiders. It was the right thing to do, because if anybody had a chance other than Atlanta going to his hometown, it would have been the 49ers, because he wouldn't have had to move. He would still been there in the Bay Area. So they took a legitimate shot at him. Unfortunately, home won out. So they did their due diligence, and I commend them for that. But they move on and keep developing, what they've got and move forward.
Yeah, basically what you're referring to is when we were out in California for the Rams game. I know that over that weekend you had some time to spend at the museum, the 49 Museum. I know that I saw some pictures of you with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, some of the players, and so I know you were talking to Matt Breida, who hopefully that we were able to get him on the show. So why don't you share a little bit more about what you were able to experience, and also with some of your old teammates.
Yeah, it was great, because I hadn't had a chance to come out to the Bay Area or California, since the Levi Stadium. So having a chance to see it for the first time and see the museum, have my kids see California, the stadium, see where Dad worked, and have a chance to see the museum also, and artifacts that's in there, like my Super Bowl uniform that, they have, as a display in there, along with, a picture with displaying, the record that I have for kickoff returns for the 49ers.
Right.
And that's something that, my future grandkids and their kids can have a chance to, witness and view, and I'm very, very humbled by that. But having a chance to have my kids there, man, was just so awesome. But having a chance to see, my old teammates, Joe and Jerry and Ronnie and Ricky and Dedrick Dodge and, of course, Jesse, Guy, Keena Turner, all those guys. But just having a chance to see them and get together and having a chance to, make up for lost time, because I hadn't seen them. Some of them I saw last year, at Mr. D's event in Tampa that we go to every year. But,
right.
But this was a football event, so having a chance to come out was great. We all know how the game turned out, but the Rams are nothing to play with. They're nothing to play with, and their running game, their passing game, and I think their defense, man, getting Fowler from the Jaguars is crazy. They didn't need any more help to be the best defense or the best looking team in the league. But you know what? That's what they are. I know they lost, the one game, but you know what? Them, Kansas City, and we can name a few more that are the top 3 to 5 teams in the league, including New England. So it's going to be an awesome, remainder of the season, getting into the playoffs. It's going to be a great, NFL postseason. But yeah, it was awesome. And the greatest part probably of my whole trip was having the chance. I know this is crazy, but we're in the year 4 of the Grueling Truth. And Matt and I had never met other than on the phone. And we've, we've gelled together, being able to come together and do, and I hope the fans, the 49er faithful think the same thing, that we have a very quality show. And to finally, in year 4, have a chance to meet each other at the Rams 49er game for the very first time was freaking awesome. So I tell you, Matt, it was great, man. And now we can go on with the show, having a chance to meet each other for the first time in person. So I appreciate it, partner, man. I'm glad you were able to make that trip.
Oh, likewise. It was an honor to finally meet you, spend a little time with your family, and it was great to go live and right in front of the pavilion and do a little short pregame. And I was able to get a pass to the field. I was hoping to be on your side of the field, but they actually cleared it off before you guys all came out. But it was just, that to me that was a trip of a lifetime. That was so much fun. And then to be able to spend the last, even though it was not much going on in the field, be able to spend the last 6 or 7 minutes sitting by you and your family and just spending time with you guys. And it was great. It was something I'll never forget.
Absolutely, man. I wouldn't want to do the show with anybody else. And you just done a great job, man, hosting it and, bringing me, on and just making me look and sound good.
Well, hey, it's my honor. I grew up watching all you guys, and just to be able to spend time with you and talk football and life, and it's great. I'd never in a million years thought this was even possible.
Well, we made it happen, didn't we?
Indeed. So it was great to finally meet up and had a great time. Levi is a real fun place to watch football, and halftime was great. Watching all you guys come out to return to the mat was great. I felt like it was 1995 again.
Absolutely, and especially had Montel Jordan singing This Is How We Do It, and he made that song in 1994.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
Yeah.
That was This Is How We Do It. That wasn't Return of the Mac. You guys came out with This Is How We Do It. Yes.
Absolutely. So it was very, very appropriate, for that moment, man. So it just put an exclamation point on a great weekend.
Yeah, that was for sure. It was great to see just so many of the guys from the 94 team come out and just being able to reminisce about that season, seeing the highlights up on the screen. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but the first 15, 20 seconds of the video, Ricky Waters scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see your boy come in and do his little dance with Ricky? Hey,
I sure did.
I'm always asked, by my high school players and my kids, hey, Dad, why don't you ever dance? You go in there. I say, well, my dance is when I score, I go in with my hands raised up, one giving thanks, giving thanks. And number two is, hey, this is how we do it, right? And then I saw that, and I'm like, hey, okay, I found some moves somewhere in there, so that was kind of fun. Reminiscing.
Definitely. That was great seeing Jerry just kind of lead you guys all out to with Montel up on the stage. That was awesome.
Absolutely. And now another, the unveiling of Dwight and Joe's statues was a big deal, and I'm glad I had a chance to experience that, and see and talk to his wife and wish her the best. But another thing that I really enjoyed was when you see a teammate, everybody may not like everything a player says, does, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But the one thing you can't take away is a player's performance. A player's performance speaks for itself over time, but you just can't ignore it. And although I only played 1 year with this young man, I knew that this year that he was talented. You didn't have to tell. I tell people and I tell players, there's two things you can't teach, whether it's in the classroom, in life, in work, or in athletics. You can't teach energy and effort. And you can't really teach intelligence, but you can enhance your own intelligence. But the one thing I noticed, in Terrell Owens, his rookie year is you didn't have to teach him to give great effort. You didn't have to tell him to have energy. The way we finished plays and we ran all the way down the field and the way we gave our all on every play in practice, he had it. And to see it all cultivate into a gold jacket, I'm really, really happy for him. He did it his way. A lot of people criticized him, but he did it his way, and he's benefiting from it. And now what's interesting is, you see, I don't know if you'll put this on the same level or not, but now you've got all the Hall of Famers, now joining together and trying to get lifetime health insurance for them because they're never going to give it up. Major League Baseball gives it to Major League Baseball after not even a year of service. They get it. And we'll never get it as former players. We didn't even get it for a year when I retired. But
Yeah.
But I guess they feel since they were Hall of Famers, they should get lifelong insurance. Now, would that ever happen? I don't know. But I surely believe, Terrell Owens kind of doing the Hall of Fame his own way. And I don't think it was a disrespect to the Hall of Fame. I think it was more as a respect to his school and, and his college town. Now, he had his reasons, and you know what, and I got to respect that. But at the end of the day, it gave these older guys who are the best based on their gold jackets, to step forward, join together, and say, hey, you know what, we're going to get health insurance for us select great players, or I don't know what their or was. I think it was we may not show up to another Hall of Fame event. I'm not really sure, but you got to do something like that, because in order to get something, you got to stand up and kind of buck the system a little bit. So,
yeah,
I don't know what it is, but you may know more than me. But at the end of the day, I think what Terrell Owens did, inspired them to do something that was beneficial for them.
Well, I got a few things to say about it because, the Hall of Fame process has always been a sore spot for me because, finally Jerry Kramer got into the Packers. That was something that, I can't be growing up in Wisconsin with a father who's a Packer fan. I heard that was one of the things I heard all the time, how great Jerry Kramer was, and it's a travesty that he's not in the Hall of Fame. I'm glad they finally got him in the Hall of Fame, but up until this year, there's players like him and Roger Craig, and there's other guys that it just doesn't make sense, that the process doesn't make a lot of sense. And I've never really liked the idea of just sports writers deciding this because
right.
To me, I write sports. I'm not a professional. I don't have a degree in it, but to me, I don't mind that they have a voice, a say, but I would much rather see players and coaches, guys that are, that have done this professionally, spend time with these guys on and off the field, be a better judge than just someone who writes articles. And to me, that's just, I've never agreed with it. I've never thought that was the right way to go. And to me, it looks like they get a grudge against somebody, or,
right.
Like in the case of Terrell Owens, if you who wants to go talk to a reporter after you lose a really tough game? I can't think of any player. There's no way. So, of course, they're going to be irritated. And some of the guys, maybe they don't handle it right and stuff like that, but you can understand why they would. But now, so now you irritate a reporter, and now what? He gets on the committee and he's going to hold you back from the Hall of Fame? That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
so I disagree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I just don't think, it should be held, against them, even if you have a bad game, you don't like everything someone says, and there's a way to handle it too. But I think, if you got players in the Hall of Fame whom I respect Lawrence Taylor, but you got somebody in the Hall of Fame that has been through the things he's been through, and he gets in without any issue. And you can't say anything about Terrell Owens, from that perspective, going out and gallivanting and, and just doing things in public to disrespect the league and all that stuff. It just wasn't an issue, to use grudges, against keeping him out. But at the end of the day, he got in, he made his decision, and he's forever a part of NFL history. And, life goes on. I tell you what, those 49er fans gave him, his due, his respect, and then brought him back for the game the other night. Well, I think it was the most recent game, brought him back, and it shows me he identifies with the 49ers more than the Cowboys or any other team because, and he took he helped McNabb take the Eagles to the Super Bowl. So he, went into in my opinion, Hall as a 49er because they awarded his Hall of Fame ring at a 49er game. So, I'm glad that whatever was an issue, that it was mended and, and deservingly so. So I'm very, very proud of him.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to get at was with Terrell Owens, there was really there were times where I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on with this guy? I think we all kind of did when we were, but I never questioned his heart. I never questioned his effort. Even Jerry Rice dropped a couple balls. It's happened. I've seen it. Owens had there were times he dropped some key passes, but what he did in the Super Bowl for Philly, coming off, he had a broken ankle, and he got back pretty fast, and he put out a Herculean effort, 9 catches for like 130 yards. I mean, the guy. I just didn't really see him take a lot of plays off. I never really questioned his heart or his attitude or his work ethic.
Absolutely. And you can watch film, and I told you the dude don't take plays off. You're going to look at many players that take plays off. I sit on my high school team, and I have a conversation with them. But nonetheless, and everybody drops passes. Everybody, if you're a receiver or running back, DB, you drop passes. If you're a quarterback, you're going to throw interceptions. But you have to be judged by the totality of your work. Myself, there are some people and, look at certain things. I look at my career, and if you want to talk about how many times that I touched the ball, it was probably over 1,500 times on kickoff return, punt return, still lead. I still have the record, for the 49ers on kickoff returns. My punt return average was 9.8. And of all those times, I had 1,500 plus times. I either muffed, because muffs were called fumbles back then on kickoffs or punt returns. I had a total of 30 fumbles / muffs. Well, I only lost 8 of them.
Yeah.
But many people will look back at that, and that's what they focus on. They don't focus on, the kick and punt return average, the yards that I got, the total, leading the team in rushing as a rookie, second leading rusher as a second-year player, and then, finishing up with around 8,500 yards total offense. So, to me, I think you have to look at the totality of the impact the player had, and then being voted on the 50th anniversary all-time team with other greats, like Joe and Jerry, and I only mention that because, we as fans quick to criticize, and even Hall of Famer and Terrell Owens. But at the end of the day, you look at the totality of someone's, output, and hopefully it put things in perspective to the fan that it was a big deal back then when they were all into it and they saw these negative things happen. But that's how life is. It happens on people's jobs. It happens in school. It happens, in high school. It happens, in many aspects of life. But we have to be able to compartmentalize it and realize that doesn't define a player. The totality of his efforts do.
Yeah, that's the thing about Owens. There were times where, especially after when we knew kind of, Jerry was getting to near the end, and then when he ultimately did move on to Oakland, it was like, well, okay, I understand it, but hey, Terrell Owens is number one guy. We're gonna be just fine. But then he, were there times where he basically would, I don't know, wear out his welcome? Well, sure. I mean, that goes without saying. There were times where he at least came off as kind of a pain and did some things that were distracting, but the guy was a great player. He's easily one of the top 5 wide receivers of all time. You look at the total body of work, the effort that he put out, his heart on the field, and just the numbers that he put up in all kinds of different places that he's been. The guy is a Hall of Famer, first ballot. He should never have even had to wait. And that's probably why he did what he did, because he had to wait. I know that probably irritates fans, but, I thought it was unfair. I mean, the guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no question. Right. No way around it. The guy was one of the greatest players that ever suited up. And at the end of the day, I'm just glad that it looks like he's, like you said, it looks like he's identifying with the 49ers. And we're right back where it all started, and I'm really glad about that. I'm glad that this is maybe coming full circle, that maybe, like they say, time heals all wounds. Maybe we can all be able to put all this behind us and just kind of appreciate Terrell Owens as one of the greatest 49ers in history.
Absolutely. And, one thing that I respect, and, in the ownership of the DeBartolos is they've always embraced him. Always embraced him. And I think that's what makes him feel so welcome and never been kicked out. Him and Mr. D can kind of relate a little bit as far as the Hall of Fame induction. They both, had to wait a minute. Mr. D a little bit longer, but Mr. D and them have always had open arms, to T.O. And, and how I define T.O. is because he's a humble dude. If you work with him and all that, he's a humble dude, but confident.
That's probably a good way to put it. He's definitely confident.
Yeah. But nonetheless, hey, that was part of our California visit, you and I, and it was great. And the experience is something that, I have documented and will, continue to just be excited about and glad that my kids had a chance to enjoy it. So it was great.
Definitely. They looked like they had a great time. So that's something really cool to be able to share with them.
Absolutely.
So we'll wrap up by just doing a real short segment on, going ahead to the Giants game, Monday Night Football, at home, hosting the New York Giants, a team that they've got some good players over there like Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham, but they've not had a very good season either. They've got a definite problem on the offensive line. They've had some troubles on defense. Eli Manning, you can definitely tell he's probably getting near the end. He's, so all of a sudden quarterbacks just, you get they call it father time for a reason, and sometimes it just happens quicker than others. But as great of a career as Eli's had, it looks like he's getting near the end. So going into this game, I gotta believe they're going to be able to put pressure on Eli Manning. They're going to need to stop the run. I think to try to put the pressure on Eli Manning, they have to make throws. And then on the other side of the ball, I got to believe this offense can put up some points.
Yes, I believe so also. And one thing is, I do like Eli. But Eli, the older you get, and sometimes some sooner than others, but Eli, his reaction is a little different. His arm strength is different. I mean, when you've got, arguably, in my opinion, the best running back, receiver, and I throw not just OBJ, but not his backup, but the number 2 receiver on the team.
Sterling Shepard.
Oh my goodness, if they had another quarterback, I really think they'll be in the hunt on the top of the NFC. I don't know much about their defense, so you probably can educate me on that. But as far as the offense, it's sad to see those guys pretty much, can be the top group in the league and not be doing as good as they are. So it has a lot to do with the offensive line and the quarterback. So I think with that being said, the 49ers have a chance in this game.
Oh, totally. There should be. This is a very winnable game. This is one of those games where, I do think the Raiders are probably as bad as their record. I don't think we're as bad as our record. And another thing that I really like about the management is I think they've gotten. I forgot to say this before. Is I think they really do go after people that fit the locker room and culture that they've created, and you can tell this team does not quit. This team doesn't point fingers at each other. This team is together, and I think that just really makes a difference going forward. This is such a winnable game. I just hope it materializes on the field. I think they can win this.
Yeah, and I believe it will. I think they're excited about the performance of Mullens. So I say just ride the wave. Kyle Shanahan, I know better this week. Better plays that may work even better because they always ask quarterbacks, hey, what's a handful of plays that you really, really like? And I'm sure they asked him that the first time, but I'm sure they're self-scouting themselves also to say, hey, this is what defenses may do to you. So he'll have another handful of plays that he may like. So I don't expect any difference of performance because, the young man played very, very well, and I think he'll do the same thing this game.
Yeah, I do too. I look forward to seeing the receivers in action. I think Garcon and Goodwin, maybe Trent Taylor will be back. Kittle is turning into one of the better tight ends in the NFL. They've got some nice pieces here. I hope to see Dante Pettis and just everybody be able to get involved and just see how well this offense can play, even with a guy who is technically a third-string quarterback. So I think this offense can put points up. I think the defense can get to Eli Manning, and so hopefully we'll see just another all-around good, fun game similar to last week. Will it be 34-3? Probably not, but I do think it's winnable, and I really don't think this is going to be a nail-biter. I really think the Niners are going to take control of this game and win it something like, I'm going to say 31-17. I know we don't do the prediction thing, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but because we were able to put points on the board, I really do see the possibility of 30 points being put on the board. I like the running game of the Giants. Saquon, I believe he can, put up points. I do believe OBJ would do his thing. I just don't see them scoring, enough points to beat the Niners. Again, we don't like predicting, but in this case, I pretty much see 31-24 49ers. So we'll see, how good that prediction is. But that's what I think the outcome will be.
Okay, so you just got them scoring just a little bit more, and so but either way, we're both predicting a win. So hopefully it materializes and we get to enjoy another week of another victory week.
Absolutely. Go Niners, 49er faithful, stay faithful.
Yeah, hopefully we hear a lot of the foghorn on Monday Night Football. That'd be nice for the whole country. So everybody enjoy yourself. Enjoy the game. Hopefully, those of you guys that are traveling there or going to the game, be loud, be proud, and go Niners. And so we will be back the following week. We'll recap the game. And so be sure to go out to thegruelingtruth.net for podcasts, articles, everything you like about sports. It's there. So we want to thank everyone for listening. So for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49er Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, where the legends speak.